Good morning and welcome back to My Life's Toil with me, Neil. Thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, feel free to subscribe. This is a community of like-minded people who are all on our weight loss journeys, predominantly using weight loss injections, but also everything associated with basically getting back to some sort of good health. I'm in my 50s, I'm 53, and I've spent the last about 9 or 10 months using mostly Mounjaro and documenting and vlogging, do we still use that word? My journey whilst doing that. And whilst I've been doing that, people have been getting involved in the community here on YouTube with advice, asking questions, tips, tricks, how things have gone for them, things that have gone well, things that haven't gone well. And I have certainly put all my good and bad ideas, things that I've done, ideas that I've had, how things have gone, basically whether they've gone well or whether they haven't. And I'm here to put that on my little channel, My Life's Toil. So welcome along. Feel free to subscribe, as I say, give it a little like, and hopefully we can get plenty of people involved in the community, which has got a real good bunch of people already. And hello to those people that already subscribe. It's great to see you. Today, a little bit different to what I did last week. If you watched last week, I was in the gym. And I did have some dodgy comments about, oh, it's the reason why I don't go to the gym anymore is because of people like you hogging the machines. It wasn't a video about using the gym. It just was that environment that in between my exercises, and it was to show that I'm actually getting down there, and people like me that started out looking like this can feel good about getting back into some sort of fitness and actually being able to do things like go to the gym and not feel bad about it like so many of us have. And you may remember, if you do follow, not that long ago, I had joined the gym, but I felt really uncomfortable about being there. So I didn't go. I literally set up in the back garden and started exercising at home. And it was all right to do that in the summer. We did have a bit of a summer this year, didn't we? And while we have fair weather, it's great. But then as the autumn and winter start to kick in, it gets difficult. So I plucked up the courage and I haven't looked back. Yeah, I haven't been going for a long time, but I'm noticing such differences. And on that, as you know, if you do follow, I'm always seeking people that are getting good results and feel good about how things have been going for them on their weight loss journeys to show progress pictures. And I show them every week, and I'm going to show some more today. But as promised, I'll put some on for me, because I haven't showed you these pictures that I'm showing you now. This is my before and this is me today. I'll put a couple of comparisons up so you can see them. And it's just, I'm really happy with how things are going. Yeah, there's certain things that drive me to continue to get better, because it's such a massive change. It's a huge change in our lifestyles. It has to be not just a temporary thing to get some sort of progress and then feel good about ourselves and continue on with life. It has to become our life, which I think most people that follow will agree with. And it's difficult. It really, even now, and I have my days off, and I've mentioned, and there's so much I can sort of spill out, and I'm trying to sort of put it in some sort of order, because you'll get to know me. I can sort of go off on a tangent and sometimes forget to bring it back in and end up going down a completely different route as to what I started off with. But some of the things I wanted to discuss that I still do, and I found it, initially I found it difficult counting the calories using whichever apps we tend to use. But I sort of have become a lot more regimented about doing that now. And I actually enjoy looking at what I'm doing. I can sort of set my day up on that. And I find it really beneficial, because there's those people out there that they think that they're doing the calories in their head, and they can't understand sometimes why there hasn't been any good weight losses or why they may plateau. And it tends to be, from what I'm seeing, people that, for example, I used to count everything and I thought, yeah, I've got everything down to a T. But I'd forget things like tea, coffee. I'd forget the small little things, the little where you step outside of yourself during the day. And those things count, and we have to sort of count everything, make sure that we are really meticulous in what we do, and try not to make it so much of a chore. Try and make it something that we enjoy doing, and again, that becomes part of our life. It does get easier, and I know it's all on an app, but I literally take seconds doing it now. And sometimes I'll do it all at the end of the day to see how I've gone, knowing you'll get to know what you can have and what you can't have, and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So that's something that that's one piece of advice I give. A couple of the other things we're going to do today, which I haven't done for a little while, is the questions and comments bit. I've just picked out a couple of the questions from the last few weeks. I think I did reply to them on the comments at the time, but some of the questions are good questions, and I think it's beneficial just to share them because these are the most asked questions, really. And like I say a lot of the time, there's no silly questions. There's a lot of repeated questions, and obviously I don't expect people to go back and watch all the videos because there's a lot of them, but there are a few people that have done that, and thanks for that. I really appreciate it. I look awful on them. I mean, I look awful on video the best of times, but if this helps people, then I'm happy to do it. I never thought, and I do a couple of channels. I've got a channel with my son, football, and people have been asking, who do I support? And it's Birmingham City Football Club. Yeah, you probably tell by the accent. So yeah, I'm a Blues fan, and it's hard work at times, but it's not been the worst season. So that's as much as I'm going to talk about football anyway today. But obviously the other channel is this one, and I wanted to do some sort of health channel because I'm actually a paramedic. I used to be on the ambulances, as most people will know. Now I work in primary care in a GP surgery, so I look after all the acute patients that come in, or I'm supposed to, although I do see a lot of chronic, which I'm happy to do, but it's sort of outside my remit, really. This would be something like that, like diabetes and that. I do touch upon that with the Mounjaros, the Wegovy's, people seeking advice around this, and it's good to know a little bit about it, and I do a lot of research around this personally. But when it comes down to what I do on the channel, it's not medical advice, but I will always try and point you in the right direction. If you are thinking of starting a Mounjaro journey, Wegovy journey, weight loss injections, or changing your diet drastically, and you have underlying conditions, always speak to a medical professional that knows you and can give you the right advice. But that said, like I say, if I can point you in the right direction, and if I see anything concerning where people put it in the comments, I'll always respond and I'll reach out to them anyway, and it's worked well in the past. For those people that know, during my journey where I've lost 7 stone of my total weight on Mounjaro, one of the big things that's helped me with my sweet tooth that I've discussed many times, especially around picking for chocolate and sweet snacks, has been the SUPRIVA flavour powder. And the people from SUPRIVA have been really good to the channel. They've given a discount. If you use my name and you want to try SUPRIVA, when you get to the checkout, just enter Neil and you'll get 10% off any orders that you put through with them. And it's got some really good feedback from the people that use the channel as well. SUPRIVA tell us that any of their 3 flavours, vanilla, we also have the milk chocolate, and the first one I tried was butter biscuit because that was my early favourite. It's now vanilla, and I use this now in the flapjacks that I do, and I also, this is the second pot I've had. I also use it in my overnight oats when I have oats in the morning, but it makes them really interesting. I put the milk chocolate in milk and make it into a milkshake. That also goes into a coffee for me, and it tastes like you're having a mocha, but there's so much you can do with them. Basically, they're saying that a scoop of this is equivalent in taste to having 16 sugars, so you hardly need anything. Now, this small pot will go a long way and lasts for a long time. The calories in it, so 1 scoop literally has about 7 calories per scoop. Compare that to what the sugar would be giving us. So it's a really good alternative. Give it a go, see what you think. You'll get a 10% discount if you put Neil in the checkout. But I wanted to kick off this week, sort of leading on from the gym thing last week. And someone had asked a question, and this is going back a little while actually, but they were saying they'd be interested to know, not just from me, but also from the people in the community, about the things that we can do now since we've lost the weight. And I think this is quite fitting, especially after the last couple of weeks where I've started, and I did just tell a little lie. I'm going to mention football very briefly one more time, because I've started playing five-a-side football with my younger son again. Now, this might not be the best idea, because the last time I got a nasty injury when I spoke about my knee last week was playing football, but I was a heck of a lot heavier back then. So I gave it a go, and this is actually my first time. If I put this little clip on here, you can see me running around like an idiot, although it felt a lot quicker at the time. But this is the sort of thing I'm doing now, and this is playing with kids. I think I'm 53, the next person is about 30, and then my son and his friends are all about mid-20s. So it's a bit of a risk, but it was really enjoyable. I ran around for an hour like a mad fool. I was absolutely kiboshed at the end of it, but God, did I feel good. And this is one of the things I can do now. I've read in the comments that people just having celebratory moments, just being able to bend down and do their laces up without being out of breath. That was me a year ago, just putting my trainers on or putting my shoes on, boots to go to work. I'd have to take a deep breath and I'd get up, I'd look like a beetroot and I'd be puffing. That is so, I'm not saying it's 100% now, but it's so much better. I can actually bend down now. I can actually do physical activities that I never dreamed that I would do approaching my mid-50s again. When I looked at myself a year ago and decided that something needs to be done because my blood pressure was dangerously high, my cholesterol was high, I'd got underlying injuries, and I knew where my life was heading if I didn't make a change. That's what it's about. And look at some of the things that we can do. I'd love to read in the comments some of the things. They're going to be humorous, some of them as well, which is brilliant, because I love to bring humour into what we do as well. So put some comments in about the things that you can do since you've been doing your weight loss journeys, the differences in your life, however big, however small, funny or serious. And let's get some inspiration going for these people now on the journeys that may be stalling, or people that are thinking about getting started on their weight loss, their fitness journeys. Because these are the things, some of the things that we don't think about, like tying the laces. Someone else mentioned exactly the same thing. It is so true. But being able to run around with kids and play football for a bit, doing it again this week, second one this week. So looking forward to that. And I've been going to the gym 3 times a week. I never, ever thought a year ago that I'd be back down the gym. And I'm not going to go on about that too much, because there's people that can't do this, and I appreciate that. But there will be some small things that you'll see as a positive as well. I know there's people with underlying medical conditions that can't do as much, but just dropping that bit of weight, just feeling better, just let me know what changes you notice. But talking about positivity, you know that I like to use other people's progress pictures as inspiration. It inspires me, and hopefully it inspires you as well. And I've featured a couple of people that have been on the channel before, and I love that. I love to see how the progress is going. So if you're looking for some inspiration, have a look at these here. You may remember James from earlier in the year, and he sent some more pictures in. This is James here on the 25th of April, only this year. And on the right side here, look, this is James just a week ago. He went from 239.2 pounds down to 158 pounds. And he writes, "Hi Neil, great to see your review video recently, and things are going well with the gym. Thanks very much, James. I thought I'd share an update since my last progress pic. As you can see, I'm reducing the dose I take to slowly come off Mounjaro, and this seems to be working very well." Now this is, sorry to interrupt James's blurb here, but this is a good point now to bring in that I'm seeing a lot of people doing really well if they titrate off Mounjaro. Now, you know that I tried to do this and it hasn't gone as well for me. and I've tried Wegovy that also hasn't gone as well. And I've literally stayed on 2 doses of 3.75s. I don't know when I'll be coming off that, but this is good to see that people like James can actually titrate down and it works well for. So we'll hopefully keep in touch with how James is getting on. I'm continuing to lose weight because I'm in the gym every day. I run 5K 5 or 6 days a week now, which is fantastic, and starting to sign up for proper running events now. This is amazing, James. I wouldn't have been able to walk these at the beginning of the year. I hear exactly what you're saying. Keep up the good work and hope all is well with the family. James, that is brilliant. It's just so inspirational to see the difference, and to think that you've gone from like doing nothing earlier in the year and being at that weight to now running 5K runs 5 or 6 days a week, and you're down the gym. Use this as an inspiration, folks, honestly, because this is amazing. But looking at these here, this is Liam. Liam is quite early on in his journey, but have a look at the progress he's made already. So Liam writes, "Hi Neil, I'm 16 weeks in and not gone above 5 mils. In the most, I've lost every week at an average of 2 to 3 pounds a week. Recently, I slowed down to about £1 a week, so I doubled down and was regularly having less than 1,000 calories a day for 4 of the 7-day cycle. This has now resulted in me putting weight on despite the effort. I guess my body has kicked into starvation mode. It can happen, and I need to reverse that quickly. Still, I'm down from 18 stone 10 pounds to 16 stone 3 pounds. What a great weight loss there. Brilliant, Liam. I use the NutriCheck app and don't always track everything. I didn't at first, but it's just evolved that I tend to now. But certain days, absolutely. And as you know, just on that note there, talking about certain days where you'll do the calories differently, I do that over a week. So some days I will go over, but other days I'll go under, and it balances out quite well. And it works well for me, or it certainly has. But it will track for the next 2 weeks to hit my 1,700 daily calorie target. Happy for you to share my pics. And he's in his Berry FC shirt. Nice to see the Berry FC. It's nice to see the Berry FC shirt as well, Liam, because we all know, well, people in the football world know what happened to Berry FC. So Phoenix from the Flames and all, that'd be nice to see them back doing it where they should be. Anyway, I keep talking about football and I promised there wouldn't be. So there's obviously a few football fans on here, so maybe where it's warranted. Apologies for those that don't follow the football. But getting back onto the guys, this is brilliant. And this is why I want people to send in their progress pics, because it just gives me a smile on my face. And I know it works well for people out there as well. And if we've got achievements like this, we need to celebrate them because it's hard work. And for those people that think these weight loss jabs do all the work for you, they've got another thing coming, because you still have to put the effort in. And this is where I wanted to sort of give you a little bit of an update now, leading nicely on to how someone mentioned in a question about how Russ was getting on. And the question, "Hi Neil, how's your brother going? You mentioned he'd switched to Mounjaro. How's he finding it compared to the Ozempic?" So Russ was on the Wegovy earlier in the year. Russ, if you haven't seen that video, is a paramedic still on the ambulances, working out of Perth in Australia, in Western Australia. He was a paramedic over here. We worked together on the ambulances. Then we both worked in primary care, and he's emigrated to Australia and working on the ambulances. He wasn't quite as heavy as I was, but still put a few pounds on, and decided while he was over in Australia to start the Wegovy, which didn't really suit him. He had a lot of nausea, but didn't find the results were very good. And you can see the video if you wanted to watch that of how it was. But he has swapped over onto the Mounjaro. Now the thing is with Russ, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying, where I mentioned that Mounjaro is a tool for us to use, it doesn't do all the work for us. And there will always be that one person that can take these medications and it just does everything for them. But that is few and far between. You still need to put the effort in. And I know that Russ still loves his full fat pop. He does have sugar-free, but he's a pop addict. He loves it like your Pepsis and even Red Bulls. I know that he's had in the past, usually with an alcoholic drink. And Russ loves a vodka and Red Bull and that type of thing, whereas I don't really drink as much these days. And when he was back here visiting the other weekend, I was hoping to have tied him down to do a bit of an update video, but with Dad being in hospital and things, that sort of went out the window. So apologies, that never got to happen. But I do know that Russ still likes a snack. And the Mounjaro, although it's helped with suppression for him, it's not completely taking away that as much as he wanted to. He still has the nausea, doesn't have any vomiting, but there is some suppression, but it's certainly not as good as what I got in the early days. He was talking about, he was only on a low dose. I'm not sure exactly what dose he's at the moment because he's fairly early on the Mounjaro, but he's on about obviously titrating up. And he knows the issues about the warnings with, and this is a good time to bring in the nasty side effects. So obviously, I've mentioned this before, the further on the doses you go, the more prevalent these side effects will be. You're less likely to, not impossible, but less likely to have the nasty side effects if you stay on a lower dose, which leads us on to, nicely, the next question. And this is from Chris Reed, who's put, "Hi mate, enjoy the videos. Was wondering how long you stayed on each dose, coming up to 2 months now, lost 2 stone, started on 2.5, went up to 5, which I've not noticed any difference in the suppression, and had a bad day this Saturday, I think, in terms of eating food that got me overweight. What do you think? I should stay on 5 or move up to 7.5? And this is a really personal thing to each individual, Chris. I always advocate for staying on the lowest dose as possible, as long as possible, whilst it's working. But I do really appreciate that some people just need to move up, as over here in the UK, NICE guidelines say, and that would be 2.5 for 4 weeks, moving up to 5 for 4 weeks, and then increments of 2.5 every 4 weeks until you reach the possibility of being on 15. And even that doesn't work for everybody. And that's the sad thing about these weight loss jabs. They don't work for all of us. But if you've had some suppression at 2.5, and I'm assuming, how long did you stay on there? So you've stayed on each dose for coming up to 2 months. Yeah, it may well be time to move up. That's the time to do it, but just titrate carefully. Just don't move up quicker than you need to. So stay on for the minimum of the 4 weeks is my advice. That it would always have to be as the guidance tells us. But if you do need to move forward, then you need to move forward. But if you find that when you're on the 7.5s, like actually what I'm on, but I do that over 2 jabs between 3, I have 3.5 days in between the jabs, don't I? And that's what I've stayed on. I went back onto that because that works for me at the moment and I haven't had to move up. So that's what I'll do until I decide on what my next step is. But if that works, then brilliant. Stay on it as long as you possibly can. You may find that you do need to move up again, but that's an individual decision for you to make, and for those people out there that make it. I know that there's people on 15 milligrams and they're absolutely fine. Just be sensible about looking out for the nasty side effects. If you have anything that worries you, anything that resembles anything to do with the nasty side effects, the tummy pain, feeling unwell, get it checked out. That would be my essential advice to you. So thank you, Chris, for that. Next question from Barry Brinley. Hi Neil, I have been on Mounjaro now since September. I have lost 3 stone to date. The question I would like to know is, where do you get the extra needles from when you half dose on Mounjaro? Now, this leads me back to right earlier on in the year when I started looking at split dosing, microdosing, and the terminology between split dosing and microdosing, there's no actual definition of what each of them mean. And some people are saying, oh, you're actually split dosing, not microdosing. It's the same thing, and it's whatever it means to you. So get that one out of the way. It was a good opportunity to get that in. But I did have a link, and it was thanks to, I've mentioned Amy a few times on the channel because she's been heavily involved and a real good source of information for me, does some bits of research, and is doing really well on her journey as well. Hi, Amy. She found a link, and I'll pop it in the description of this video for you to go and get them. I think it was from a pharmacy online. Not so sure. You can. I'll put the link for the pharmacy. I've got to dig it out from somewhere. And there was one on Amazon as well. Just go for whichever's the cheapest. They were I think they were 5mm needles. Now, obviously, make sure they're just subcutaneous needles that fit on the quick pen. Most of them tend to, but you might find that you'll get slightly different variances in the sizes. And as long as they're either 4, 5 or 6mm subcutaneous needles, they should be absolutely fine to do that. Denise is asking, and I mentioned this actually a while ago because it was helping a few people get started or move over to a different supplier if you wanted to try and get it for a little bit less money. And I can still do this if you want me to. She's asking, and it's a good question, Denise, and I'll always put it up every now and then because people do ask. Hi, where do you get your Mounjaro from? Currently, I get my Mounjaro from Checkup, and they are pretty good on the prices, to be honest with you. And although there were a few hiccups at the start with postage and things like that being delayed, it comes through Royal Mail, and you've got a couple of choices with how you get it. You can have special delivery and it comes really quick, or you can have normal delivery, and that was the one I had issues with. And it's been really good just lately, to be fair. And if you want me to refer you, I can get you a referral, and I can get, I think it's something like £50 off your first order, which is really good from Checkup. By all means, send me all I need is your email address, and you can put that on the comments if you're happy to. If not, send me a private message on the Facebook page. There's the messenger on there. Or you can email me. I'm happy to put I've got an email address that I use for this, and it's n.kirby@ymail.com, and that's me. So if you're looking for changing or starting, I would recommend Checkup. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I'm happy to send it through to you. I'm always looking for other suppliers, and I'm sort of a bit of a guinea pig with it as well, because I've looked at all sorts, and I've looked at the sort of the underside of Mounjaro and the compound sides. And I have looked into it, and I'm really interested in this, and a lot of people won't agree with it. But I've done a lot of research, and I haven't used any, obviously, but it really intrigues me because some of these labs that do these are kosher, and it's an interesting thing if you look into it. It's not for discussion on here, but I know a lot of people are doing really well with that side of things, and I wouldn't go one way or the other in advising. But because everything has its place, and especially with the amount of money, I know there's many people that have had to stop their journeys because of the costs, and Wegovy and the other alternatives don't tend to have the same effect. And I think as we go forward with weight loss injections and all these medications, everything will open right up in the future, and you'll have a lot of alternatives at a lot more cost-effective costs, if you will, moving forward, and that can only be a good thing. Chris asks, how much weight have you lost from when you started? So I've just had to go through, and I don't like looking through the old videos, as I say, but I looked at day 8 video back from the channel, where I was 20 stone, 9.9 pound. But my starting weight on day 1 was 21 stone, 5 pounds, 4.9 pounds, which is 136 kilograms. And I've weighed myself today, and I'm still 91. I'm 91.2 kilograms today, which is about 14.5 stone. So all in all, I've lost quite a bit, and I'm managing to maintain that with going to the gym, with this bit of silly youth idea of football that I'm doing, see how long that lasts. And just eating healthy. I'm still enjoying my food, so it's going all right. So I'm maintaining well. So that's that, Chris. So I don't know anything about you, Chris, so if you want to let me know how you're getting on, it'd be nice to see. It'd be good to get some progress pics and things from everyone. Getting a lot of questions, I'm getting a lot of comments from people saying, oh, I've met my target, I've done this, and send some pics through if you're happy to. We should celebrate hitting these marks, show people what can be done on these weight loss injections, share your tips and tricks, because this is the place to do it. We've got, like I keep saying, a great community of people to do this. And I've got to know so many lovely people that'll send me messages, they'll ask how I am, and I do the same back. Now, admittedly, I don't get a chance to, I'd love to get involved in long conversations, and sometimes it takes me a little while to get back to you, but I'll always try. And I've told you in the, on previous videos that I do struggle to get around all the comments, but sometimes I'll just sit there. Sometimes I do it in bed on the phone. I'm tapping away and I'm responding, and I will try and get round to it. So if I have missed anything, I haven't done it on purpose, but I'll always at least try and put a little love heart saying, you'll know that I've read it. So keep all the comments coming and keep the progress pics coming as well. And obviously your questions, if you're struggling to get anything answered and you're not getting the advice that you think that you need, drop it on and we'll try and find out for you. And sometimes just, if I don't know, someone will, but I'll always try and point you in the right direction. Time for a little update on Dan now, because we've spoke a little bit about Russ, haven't we? Dan's had a stall this last week. So I weighed him yesterday and Dan was at 95 kilos, which is 2 weeks running. Now, I'm not in a rush to just say, oh, he needs to go up the jabs, because for those that don't know, Dan is my son. He's 28, but he has special needs, quite severe special needs. And he can't tell us when he doesn't feel well. We just have to pick up on the signs. But he was quite a big lad. So there's videos we covered, Rach and me, and I will do an update with Rach as well. We'll chat about how things are going in a separate video, which I keep promising to do. But like I say, with time, it's difficult. So yeah, with the store this week, I'm just going to persevere this week. The food noise is obviously back with him, because did I mention last week that I caught him raiding the treat drawer, which isn't as overflowing as it used to be, but we still try and have some treats. And like we say, it's important to have the treats in life, because if you block absolutely everything out, I learned this early on, this isn't my advice, this is your advice coming back to me. If you remember right early on at Easter, when I fell off the wagon because I had Cadbury's Dairy Milk chocolate egg, and it just ruined the weekend for me, and I put on that week, and it was that point in the diet, and I use the word diet, that if you're like me, most people will have that point in the diet where it just falls apart, and you have something to eat or you take something and it just ruins it, and that's it, the diet's gone and you're back to your old self. And that would have been the point there if it hadn't been for you out there and the Mounjaro at the time, because I keep saying now that tomorrow is another day, and just get back on it, especially with the support of this tool that we use, the Mounjaro. And I think Dan is at that sort of stage now, but it's for us to manage as his parents. So I will look at moving him up. But if I do move him up to a bigger pen, I will microdose it, because I don't want to take him from a 2.5 to a 5 milligram dose. He only does the weekly doses, which I do for him. And if anything, I'll just count a few clicks more and just see how that works for him, rather than giving him a whole dose. Now, Dan is a special case for me. And I have spoke to colleagues at work about that, and they agree that it's a good idea, which was nice. And a lot of people out there agree that it's good, that what we've done for Dan. And it certainly worked for him. He has lost, though, around about a stone in weight. He's not quite hit the stone mark. He's still just on it. So we were going to celebrate the stone with him and tell him how good he's been, because, as you know, Dan likes the terminology good boy. He doesn't like the words good lad, but he's a good boy, and he'll always be a good boy in our minds, obviously. But that's the update on Dan, but we'll be a bit more comprehensive. Hopefully next week I'll try and get something done on Wednesday with Rach and Dan. We'll update you on that one. Little bit of an update before I go on the side effects that I constantly keep having. My worst one is the constipation. I have suffered it for so long now. It just, gotta be careful how I turn this. It drops out of me when I speak about it. If only the constipation did. Sorry, I'm conjuring up all sorts of images in the mind, but I'm so happy to talk about it, like most people on the channel that follow are, because these side effects are real. The only one that bothers me, and I've had so many good ideas, lots of people are saying prunes, which I've tried before, we'll try again, because they do work. Well, the other one is kiwi fruit. Someone's saying have 2 kiwi fruits a day. I'm still having, I've mixed up here. This is my creatine drink, which I'll sip on over the next few hours. So I'm still taking creatine, which I've gone back onto since I've been in the gym, but I've put a Movicol sachet in here as well. And I am using the powdered psyllium husk stuff as well now. I did try the psyllium husk gummies. Waste of time, absolute waste of time. They were, for me, might not be for you. Let me know if it works for you. But I've gone onto the psyllium husk powder again, which I did try many months ago. Didn't really help, but I'm thinking with the Laxidos that I have to take every now and then, might just make me a bit more regular. But I'm drinking plenty of water. And also, I've still got some protein powder that I'll have every now and then. And I do put a little bit of creatine in that when I don't have it in squash. But I've been putting a bit of psyllium husk and extra fibre in as well. Still taking my Centrum. I've got the over 50s vitamins now, but not a lot more than that. I'm still taking the 3-in-1 magnesium as well. Can't remember which ones it is now. The citrate, and the other ones. I'll put it on the screen. Mine's gone blank, which it is Sunday morning. Give me a break. I do switch off from work duties on the weekend. But that'll do it for this week, because I think I might have waffled on a little bit. I'll try and cut it down so it makes sense when I actually put the video together. We'll leave it at that. We'll do an update for you on Wednesday this week. It is going to be a bit of a busy week, but it's important to try and keep us all updated, because I do think that we rely on each other to a certain extent, don't we? Keep your comments, keep your questions coming. Any advice, any tips and tricks that you want to share with anyone else. More importantly, those progress pictures, because they are the most inspiring part of this channel for me, and I love them. Have a great week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.